Okay, so let's talk about two words we hear all the time: self-love and self-respect. We kind of throw them around like they mean the same thing. But what if they don't? What if they're completely different? Because I'm telling you, understanding the difference between them, that can be one of the biggest, most powerful shifts you ever make. So what is the difference really? It sounds like a simple question, right? But the answer? Wow, the answer gets right to the very heart of why so many of us feel completely stuck. You know that feeling? Even when you're trying so hard to be kind to yourself. And that's because really getting this distinction, finally seeing the line between self-love and self-respect, that's the key. That's what can take you from feeling constantly drained and honestly kind of resentful to feeling aligned. Truly, genuinely at peace. Okay, so before we dive in, let me just say this. This is not about becoming cold or, building walls around yourself. Not at all. It's about understanding this really powerful dynamic that's happening inside of us. A dynamic where that feeling of comfort, well, it feels kind, but it's the boundaries that can literally change your entire life. And seriously, this confusion, it's one of the biggest reasons people feel so stuck. I mean, have you ever felt just drained by your relationships? Or maybe even resentful, even though you feel like you're doing all the inner work? If that sounds familiar, this right here, this is probably why. So, what's the core difference then? Well, it really boils down to two simple ideas: soothing versus structure. All right, so first up, let's talk about self-love. I want you to think of this as pure care and safety. It's that warm, cozy, comforting voice inside you that says, hey, take it easy. Be gentle with yourself. You need to rest. And on a biological level, this is real. It's what activates your parasympathetic nervous system. That's the part of your body that's all about calming down and recovering. Now, self-respect, that's a different beast entirely. It's all about structure. It's about boundaries. This is the CEO of your brain, right? It's your prefrontal cortex doing its job, making decisions, thinking about the long term. It's that firm, quiet, steady voice that says, nope, this is not okay anymore. And here's the key part. It doesn't always feel good in the moment. In fact, it's often uncomfortable, but it is absolutely essential. So here's a really simple way to break it down. Self-love is always asking the immediate question: what do I need right now? It's all about in-the-moment comfort. Self-respect, though, it's looking at the horizon. It's asking, what's going to protect me in the long run? So you see, one soothes, the other secures. And I love this quote because it just nails the partnership between them. Self-love soothes the wound, self-respect prevents the wound from reopening. Isn't that perfect? You got to have both. One is for the healing and the other is for prevention. It's a team effort. Okay, so what happens when that team isn't working together? When that crucial partnership is totally out of whack? Well, that's when we start to see the hidden cost of what you might call over-empathy. See, when you've got tons of self-love, but you're running low on self-respect, that beautiful kindness, it slowly, quietly starts to turn into self-betrayal. You find yourself making excuses for behavior that actually hurts you. You keep understanding people who cross your lines again and again. You end up being patient with literally everyone except yourself. And this imbalance, it shows up as very real, very tangible symptoms. Let me know if any of this rings a bell for you. That resentment that's just simmering under the surface. A kind of emotional numbness where you don't feel much of anything. That constant humming, low-grade anxiety. Losing trust in your own gut feelings. Or feeling completely invisible in the relationships that are supposed to matter most. This isn't you being weak. Not at all. It's a sign. It's the sign of a self-respect gap. And here's the thing. The truth is, whether your brain wants to admit it or not, your body is keeping score. Your nervous system always knows when something isn't right, even while your mind is working overtime trying to explain it all away. So you know that tension you might feel in your chest? Or that bone-deep exhaustion that sleep just doesn't seem to touch? That's not random. That is your body sending up a flare. It's a signal. That is unexpressed self-respect begging you to pay attention. And this is the good news. This is a skill. It's not something you're born with or without. It's something we can absolutely build. And the key isn't loudness or drama. The key is something we can call quiet consistency. And let me be super clear about this. Building self-respect is not about becoming aggressive. It's not about being confrontational. It has absolutely nothing to do with big dramatic fights or cutting everyone out of your life. It is about quiet, steady consistency. It's about creating this beautiful internal alignment where what you believe and what you do are finally on the same page. So, how do we actually do it? How do we build it? Well, here's a 5-step framework that can guide you. First, you start inside, with internal boundaries. That means you honor how you feel without needing to justify it to anyone. Step 2, you choose discomfort once. You lean into that little bit of short-term discomfort to avoid a lifetime of resentment. Step 3, practice calm finality. You don't owe anyone a 20-page essay. A simple, "that doesn't work for me," is enough. Step 4 is so important. Notice the relief. Pay attention to that feeling of peace that washes over you after you've held your ground. And finally, step 5, let your actions match your values, because that's what makes a boundary real. It's not just what you say, it's what you do. And when you start to practice this, even in small ways, you begin to build something incredibly powerful and stable inside yourself. You start to find your peaceful alignment. So let's bring it all home. The big takeaway is this. Self-love is how you treat yourself when life hurts. Because it's going to hurt sometimes. It's the soothing balm for the wound. But self-respect, that's how you build a life that prevents a lot of that unnecessary pain from ever happening. It's the very architecture of your well-being. And you absolutely need both. You see, comfort without boundaries, well, that's just abandoning yourself. And boundaries without any compassion, that just makes you hard. But when you put them together, when they work in harmony, that's when you become calm, clear, and genuinely unshakable. You'll find you stop asking that question, why does this keep happening to me? And instead, you start living from this place of deep internal knowing. You can just look at a situation, or a relationship, or a pattern in your life and say with this quiet confidence, this no longer aligns with who I am. And that shift, it's not loud, it's not dramatic, it's peaceful. And it changes absolutely everything.